I'm continuing my streak of making videos daily. I saw a post by Joe Sullivan talking about how if you retract your scaps during the bench press, you're wrong, is what he said, and a lot of people are angry about that, understandably so, because it's the foundation of how most people learn how to bench. He does have, because a lot of people who are good benchers are agreeing with him. I just think like the words he's saying mean different things to different people, right? And I think he's giving a cue and people are taking it as like an anatomical instruction, right? Because I really like the way that Sebastian Oreb explains it, right? The foundation of a press is from a retracted and a depressed scapula, right? And then you move from there. Rather than a free moving scapula, you're going to be able to rely more on the bigger, stronger muscles rather than the smaller muscles within your rotator cuff. So agree in all of that, and I think what he's getting at is if you think about what you can do with your shoulder girdle is you can make a circle, right? You have different combinations of protraction forward, elevation, depression, depression, retraction, right? So you can make a circle. And I think what he's trying to say, which is something I find in my own bench, is if I focus within said circle, right? You imagine you have your max ROM, like if you did a controlled angular rotation, right? And you took it through its max ROM, you have a circle, roughly, right? If you go all the way to the back of that circle, all the way out here, right? Over there, you're not going to be able to depress your scapula very much. So to achieve depression, you need to give up some of that retraction, right? So if you're someone who prioritizes completely retraction over depression, you're not going to be able to have a very depressed scapula. So in that circle, you want to be more down here, right? So not all the way down maybe where you lose up all of your retraction, but not all the way retracted where you give up your depression. You want to move it from here to here. So in positioning, that might look like here to here. That's going to draw my chest upwards, going to lock my T-spine in, and probably put me in a little bit more of an extended position. And I myself think about, okay, so I'm going to retract my scaps, and then when I'm getting set, I give up some of that retraction to achieve good scapular depression. And I've always said that the sign of a good bencher is the amount of tightness you can achieve, right? So you have lower body tension, which I might talk about in a different video, and then you also have that upper body tension. And I would say that's the most important part. A good bencher can control their scaps very well. And so a big misunderstanding is that arching is just wedging yourself into this extreme position, when in reality, most of a proficient arch is coming from extremely good control of your scapulae, right? So I think that's the takeaway, is if you're a beginner bencher and you're really just thinking about cranking them back, you're not going to be down here and you're going to be missing out. So if you could practice thinking about, okay, I get set in the bench and then I draw it downward. And one way I do that is I'll apply a pullover type force to the bar prior to unracking it. And you'll find just doing this without taking it out of the rack will draw your scaps down. You're just moving everything downward, right? So before I bench personally, what I do is I think about, okay, I'm going to get most of the weight off of my butt, split between my feet and up on my traps, and then I apply that slight pullover force, and then I take it out. And even with a self-unrack, I think just having that force helps me maintain a really good back tightness, because a lot of people say, oh, I don't know how you do a self-unrack, you're going to lose your retraction. Well, I'm not maintaining that retracted of a position, so it's not all that hard for me. But I think that would be the takeaway. I don't know. I've seen everybody argue in the comments, and I don't think Joe is doing a good job articulating what he's trying to get at personally. But also, I think he's talking cues, other people are talking anatomy, which isn't always the same thing, because you might say, oh, you know, arch, right? Doesn't mean maximally arch, it just means arch more than you usually do, right? And I think that nuance is often lost in Instagram posts.